welcome back to more exciting Mazda Road to Indy racing. My name is Tony Laporte, and I'm your host of Road to Indy TV this season. We're down on the grid getting ready for race number 2, but it's race number 1. It's the High Tide Kids on Track Pro Mazda Grand Prix of St. Petersburg. Anthony Martin, he was your champion in USF 2000 last year. He's in the Soul Red Mazda, which means he is racing with Mazda scholarship money to get one step closer to racing in the Verizon IndyCar Series. Anthony, coming all the way from Australia, racing here in the U.S., got to feel good coming in here with the Soul Red car and that Mazda championship money.
Yeah, for sure. The Soul Red car has been great all weekend. The Cape Motorsport boys have given me an awesome car, and I can't thank them enough. And I can't wait to get out there and do some racing.
Now, I just explained it briefly what the Mazda Road to Indy is. It's a ladder system designed to take young drivers out of the go-kart ranks, move them up through 3 levels of Mazda-powered racing cars, and then spit them out eventually in the Indianapolis 500. Anthony, how cool is it to know that you are one step closer now to realizing your dream of being a professional race car driver in the IndyCar Series?
Yeah, it means everything. You know, that's the dream for, all the drivers on the grid, and it really means a lot to receive the scholarship money from Mazda, and I'm very happy to be driving their Soul Red car.
So keep your eyes, folks, on the car starting on the pole position. It's that Soul Red, the Mazda-inspired Soul Red race car of Anthony Martin. Again, he's coming off the championship in USF 2000 last year. He's leading the field to the first green flag of the season here in Pro Mazda, and he comes all the way from Kalgoorlie, Australia. He is Anthony Martin. We're getting ready for the High Tide Kids on Track Pro Mazda Grand Prix of St. Petersburg. It's Mazda Road to Indy Racing. Folks, you're going to want to keep an eye on these young kids. We're getting ready to go green in just a few minutes.
From everyone at High Tide Boat Lifts, drivers, start your Mazda engines.
Ladies and gentlemen, set to go. Pro Mazda Championship Racing. Martin and Franzoni, row 1. Fisher and Kuna, row 2. Dennis Listoshkin, row 3. Rob and Hanratty, row 4. Eberly and Puderbach, row 5. Davis and Machiko, row 6. Green and Finelli, row 7. And we are underway. Green, green, green. Racing down into turn number 1. Will cooler heads prevail? A little bit of a brake lockup coming through there. They want to get through cleanly. Looking good thus far. You can see those Pelfrey drivers running in 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Good launch for Anthony Martin. He will go to P1. Martin rolling through turn number 3. Great shot there as Michael detailed. Anthony used a little blip of the throttle, back on it. Maybe a little more this time. He'll go to the inside to try to hold the position back from Franzoni. Already on the defensive on this opening lap. He knows that the 2 of those drivers should be able to get out based on their speeds. Michael, in our qualifying sessions, those front 2 drivers should be able to stretch away early, but you can be sure that TJ Fisher's not going to want to let them pull.
Nikita Liskoshkin doing a great job on the start of this race. He got around Philippe Dennis. Actually almost got around his teammates, all the Pelfrey drivers. He got a look to the inside as they made their way down into turn number 1. So Listoshkin moves from 6th to 5th, and there you see the field making their way through turn number 10 for the very first time. This, a 30-minute race. Pro Mazda, the kickoff to the 2017 campaign, coming out of the final 2 turns, 13 and 14 at Anthony Martin. Victor Franzoni just 2 car lengths behind.
We are on the run to the championship scholarship, the title winner, earning a berth in the 2018 Indy Lights presented by Cooper Tires Championship. Who will it be? Anthony Martin gets a good jump. He and Franzoni out to the lead. TJ Fisher 2nd. Carlos Kuna in 3rd. Nikita Listoshkin in the 5th spot. Kuna 4th. Philippe Dennis now 6th. Max Hanratty in 7th. Stingray Rob runs 8th ahead of his teammate Bobby Eberly. Matt Machiko, quickest of the Fat Boy Racing crew. He runs 10th ahead of Puderbach. Kevin Davis in 12th. Jeff Green in 13th, and Charles Finelli in the 14th position.
Well, Nikita Listoshkin, after he got around Philippe Dennis, kind of holding Dennis up now, and that's piled up Dennis, Hanratty, and Rob behind Listoshkin. As there you see them working their way through turn number 9 right now. Great little battle there for 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th.
Indeed, 4 drivers trying to battle through, and as you said, Listoshkin got a great jump and was able to fight with his teammates Fisher and Kuna, but that's not kind of the case now. He's stacking them up behind him. I want to say that, is it still Dennis in that position? Indeed it is. It's Philippe Dennis in the challenge position in 6th spot. Leaders stretching away as we expected. So a 2-driver battle up front as Martin and Franzoni stretch away. That is the 2 lead Team Pelfrey cars. Pelfrey's obviously got a good setup on the race car. Listoshkin maybe a little bit off because he ran for Cape Motorsports last year and was a pretty a pretty good driver. Put a lot of good races in for Listoshkin. He's got the capability of being able to run with his teammates.
Well, Philippe Dennis with a nice run out of turn 14. Still about 3 car lengths separating him and Listoshkin down the front straightaway. Cape Motorsports' Anthony Martin leading the way with a 0.3 of a second advantage over second place Victor Franzoni. It's Martin, Franzoni, Fisher, Kuna, Listoshkin your top 5. Dennis, Hanratty, Robb, Machiko, and Davis rounding out the top 10. We still have 23 minutes remaining in race number 1 of the Pro Mazda Series.
The thing about Anthony Martin is that he knows how to lead and he knows how to win. He got the chance to do that last year running with Cape Motorsports. 7 victories last year en route to the championship, and he did not win here last year. They did not put a Cape Motorsports car on the podium last year here at St. Petersburg. They're obviously changing that already as Oliver Askew finished second in the opening USF 2000 race. But again, as we're seeing Anthony Martin show his hand early on, he's not a guy that's going to get shaken here now. He and Franzoni coming up from USF 2000 as essentially a brand new lineup of drivers. And the only returning driver, well, there's 2 returning drivers, one of them being TJ Fisher, the other really being Bobby Eberle. Those are the 2 that we expect to run full season campaigns. As so many drivers moving up into the Indy Lights program. You look at the drivers last year that moved up, Michael. Top 3 drivers in Pro Mazda making the move. Of course, Tielitz with the scholarship. Pato award a one-off this weekend here with Team Pelfrey, and then Nico Jamin moving up with Andretti Autosport as well.
Pretty much rounded up the Pro Mazda drivers and just moved them all to Indy Lights. And what was great is it was such a great competition last year in the Pro Mazda Series to see them all in the bigger cars, the bigger horsepower, and all competing. Going to be a lot of fun, that Indy Lights Series this year. Anthony Martin still a 0.3 second advantage over Victor Franzoni. TJ Fisher, Kuna, Listoshkin, your top 5. Listoshkin 10 seconds behind his teammate Carlos Kuna, and the last time by 15.5. So
yeah,
he was in the
closer.
A little bit better. Minute
Closer.
16s, and he's maybe getting a rhythm again. So
you never know if they're trying something different with the car either.
Right.
You know, maybe they just tried something a little different with Listoshkin's car to see if it'll come in a little better later on in the race. You never know. Like you said, he's not that far back right now. He's only 0.6 of a second off of Kuna the last time by. And he was actually a little bit quicker than Philippe Dennis as well. Let's see if Philippe has anything for him. And for Philippe Dennis in the number 15, he's pulling away from Hanratty as well. So that's going to give him a little bit of an opportunity to focus forward. He's got that gap.
And you look at Max Hanratty, started 8th, moved up to 7th, but race number 2, he had issues, sat on pit lane. He'll start from the rear of the field for race number 2.
Key thing to remember about Max Hanratty is he's not tested this car. He was supposed to run with a team leading edge and had an issue, contractual issue, which is unbelievably disappointing. And it was on the outside looking in, not sure where he was going to run. He has not tested yet. Everyone else has been in the car, essentially. Now, neither has Dennis, because he didn't test either. This was a late race deal, not able to test.
Watching our leaders, Martin and Franzoni. Minute 14s, minute 14:02, minute 14:11 for Anthony Martin and Victor Franzoni. There you see the leaders on the video boards making their way through turns 11 and 12. 20 minutes remaining in race number 1, the kickoff to the 2017 campaign for this Pro Mazda Series. And for Victor Franzoni, keeping pace with Anthony Martin, the key, although that time by Anthony Martin looking like he had a great run out of turn 14. The gap was from 0.3 of a second now to 0.6 of a second.
If you look at lap times, Anthony's starting to come on right now. He's turning pretty consistent, 1:14 flats, a 1:14.2 last time for Franzoni. So they'll have to dial things in here. Both drivers very quick. They pulled away 4 seconds from Fisher. Another battle to watch further back in the pack as well. A good little dice between Jeff Green and Bobby Eberle. They're having a scrap here for the 12th position, or the 11th position on the racetrack.
Bobby Eberle holding on, started 9th, so he's dropped back a little bit, trying to keep pace.
He was able to get back by Green.
Yep.
So Eberle back into 11th position, Bobby Eberle. 1:14.054, 14 flat for Martin. Great lap time. About 0.4 of a second off his qualifying time as well. And he pulls to within 0.6 of a second, over half a second away from Franzoni.
You know, racers being racers, they always want to be in the car, but after this race completes, these Pro Mazda drivers won't race again until tomorrow afternoon after the Verizon
The very
IndyCar
last
Series
race of the weekend.
Very last race of the weekend. So they've got a lot of time to think about this race, how it went, what they're going to do differently. Will be interesting.
And the track is going to be
completely different.
Way different. A full event of IndyCar rubber down there, yeah. It'll be an interesting setup for these drivers. And, of course, that plays over to the mechanics and the engineers. The engineers have to figure out how they're going to set the car up, knowing the grip. Either the grip levels are either going to be high or track can be a little bit greasy. Got to figure out the way to dial the car in. Martin still leads, as we said, 7/10 of a second now. Franzoni runs in second. TJ Fisher in third. Carlos Cunha in fourth. Nikita Listoshkin fifth. Philippe Dennis in sixth spot. Max Hanratty in seventh. Stingray Robb in eighth. Matt Machiko in ninth. And Kevin Davis rounding out the top 10.
Gotta love the name Stingray Robb.
You think that, don't you?
Of all the names that I could have been born with, Stingray would have been fantastic.
You know what? And I get it all the time. Is that his real name? And I just tell the story when I first was announcing a go-kart race. I'm looking down the list, looking at live timing. It says Stingray Robb, and I'm saying, hey, listen, no, we don't use nicknames. I'm going to call you by your real name. So of course I'm going down the order, and I say Ray Robb. Well, I'm walking through the paddock for lunch, and over comes this 9-year-old kid out of Idaho, and he says, Rob, my name's Stingray. It's on my birth certificate, Stingray. And I went, Stingray, I am sorry.
Oh, that's great.
And I've had the pleasure of being able to watch him race. I was in Europe and in Italy when he ran a great race in Italy. I was announcing that event. And to watch him develop as he has over the last number of years, it's been a joy. He's become one of the top junior driver karters in the country, moved to the senior category, was unbelievably fast in his first year in a shifter kart. But they wanted to get him into a race car. And Stingray's a great young man, well-spoken, and we're going to see a lot out of him. This is a big jump for him. He didn't go to USF 2000, which may have been a good idea, but the opportunity to run Pro Mazda with a shortened schedule and the shorter budgets and the big prizes. We forgot to mention, Rookie of the Year, you win a car, a Mazda road car of your choice. So a lot of great benefits and attractions for drivers that come here, and really it's a good program for Stingray anyways. He jumps into this car like so many other guys. It's 260 horsepower, the bigger tires. It's going to set him up for next year in Pro Mazda as well, so it's going to be a great training opportunity for Stingray.
Jeff Green to pit lane, back out, will go a couple of laps down. Your leader, Anthony Martin. Still 16 minutes remaining in race number one of this kickoff to the 2017 campaign, the Pro Mazda Series. And for Anthony Martin, slowly but surely gapping himself from second place Victor Franzoni. The gap now up to 1 second. And we see that battle for fifth, sixth, and seventh starting to break up a little bit as well. Listoshkin, Dennis, Stingray Robb able to get around Max Hanratty that time by. So a nice pass by Robb as we were speaking about him. So it's Martin Franzoni, TJ Fisher runs P3, Cunha, Listoshkin, Dennis, Robb, Hanratty, Machiko, and Davis. They are your top 10. Again, about 15 minutes, 30 seconds remaining in race one.
Interesting to note that last year at the season finale, the two drivers who were battling it out were racing on track as well. Victor Franzoni swept the doubleheader weekend at Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca, the final round of the series, the Soul Red finale, but it was Anthony Martin that actually scored the championship based on a couple of consistent finishes. You know, Franzoni wants to extend that streak from last year and win another one.
It'll be interesting as Brendan Puterbaugh comes out of turn number 14, gets really loose. If Anthony Martin and Victor Franzoni, well, if Anthony can get by him, that'll be great, but this might really hold up Victor Franzoni. Puterbaugh into turn number one right now. Martin looks to the inside. Great class move by Puterbaugh. He pulls out of the way and allows our two leaders to go by as he spins in turn number one, gets himself righted.
Well, he was being a great gentleman driver, pulling off to the side, but that's dust and dirty and gross, and he tried to get it in there, and the car just kind of did a half spin on him. He was able to get back underway again, but a great call for Puterbaugh to allow the leaders to come through. Last time by, though, the gap coming down to just 0.6 of a second.
I think a lot of that was Puterbaugh probably. Don't you think, holding him up or not?
I don't think so. He pulled straight off of the braking zone. I don't know. Well, let's have a look at lap times again next time by. It's the first time we've seen Martin do a 15 flat, so maybe, but there is an opportunity that maybe he's closing up here a bit too. Well, we're going to see it the next time by, of course. Here they come over through turn number 10.
That's the Jeff Green car that they're passing.
Yep. Getting through the Jeff Green car, and that stacked them up in a big way right there because that was coming into turn number 10. Michael, they are stacked on top of each other again. This will be an opportunity for Franzoni if he can get a good run onto the straightaway. He's about 4 car lengths back, but a great jump for Anthony Martin. This is where he'll get back into the draft. Here comes Franzoni closing back up as they go into the braking zone of turn number 1. Franzoni closes, has a look, no. But right there, Victor Franzoni, another 15 flat, Martin a 15.3, but he got checked up again by Jeff Green. So just a little bit of lap traffic here for Anthony Martin.
It'll be interesting to see if they can get back down to the 14s. They've been on slower traffic the last couple of laps, potentially throwing the rhythm off just a little bit, trying to figure out a good opportunity, a good spot on this 14-turn circuit to get around the slower traffic. So now that they've got some clean racetrack in front of them, see if they can't pick those lap times up just a little bit. Anthony Martin, Victor Franzoni, 0.3 of a second last time by. That has been the closest gap throughout this race thus far. 13 minutes remaining in race number 1 of the Pro Mazda Series.
Working out of turn number 10 now come the 2 leaders. Short shoot down here. This nice little 11, 12, 13 combination. Big sweeping turn 14. New asphalt on 80% of the racetrack here, and the driver's getting dialed in as that rubber begins to, or that track begins to take down rubber, more grip. Definitely a little warmer here today than yesterday, too.
Last time by, 14.2 for Anthony Martin and Victor Franzoni at 14.5.
Well, you asked the question, could they get back to the 14s? Almost back to the 13s, like where he was when he qualified. Back down to a 14.2 for Martin as we are into the second half of this race. Just 12 minutes remaining here in Pro Mazda. 12 minutes to go in the Pro Mazda category. And Victor Franzoni continues to push. He knows a victory here would kick off the season on the right foot. Second to Martin. Neither of these guys want to finish second to each other. They don't want to start the storyline that way.
Kay Punkos, the 2 cars out front, and Team Pelfrey right there. But clearly these two, at least in this first race, the class of the field.
You know what? They were the top, 2 of the top 3 drivers last year in USF 2000. We shouldn't be surprised at all that they're battling it out here right now. So
lost a little ground that time, did Anthony Martin. Victor Franzoni able to pick up the pace. It was 0.6 of a second last time by. And that time by, the gap down 1/10, 1/2 a second. TJ Fisher, Carlos Cunha, everybody in 1/14s of the top 4. Nikita Listoshkin still 5th. Dennis Robb able to get around Hanratty.
Good shot of them rolling there through turn number 3, though. They went through turn number 3. They had a great shot of Anthony Martin clipping the end of the late apexing that curbing that they had laid out in turn number 3 when they reconfigured it. As you said, a little blip and back on the throttle. He just popped up over top of that curb. That takes some guts to know that you're going to offset the car's balance like that and have to bring it back down and out to the wall again. Franzoni watching every move. Looking at the fight here as well between Listoshkin and Dennis. Philippe Dennis just 1/2 second behind Nikita Listoshkin. Bobby Eberle trying to chase down Kevin Davis now. Let's have a look at their lap times last time by. Indeed, Eberle quicker by 0.4 of a second, but he's 2.3 back. Here come the leaders again past Charles Finelli. Victor's lost a lot of ground this time, Michael. This time by 0.6 of a second now. Here comes the 81 of Carlos Cunha. He's not done with his teammate yet. Cunha closing up to Fisher, quicker by 1/2 a second. 10 minutes remaining in this race. 10 to go in the opening of 2 races for the Pro Mazda Championship, presented by Cooper Tires. Watching the lap times with all these guys dicing it up together. Stingray Robb losing ground to Philippe Dennis. In fact, Max Hanratty closing up a bit by 1/2 a second last time by, but Hanratty back by 3.5. Best battle on the racetrack looks to be between the 2 Team Pelfrey teammates for third, the final position on the podium. They're actually going to get stacked up by Finelli a bit here, coming through 7 and 8. Oh, look at this, Michael, coming down through the kink. Woo.
Working their way through turn number 10, the teammates Fisher and Cunha. Let's see the exit of the turn right there. Fisher back in, stepping out ever so slightly as the two Pelfrey teammates racing for the final spot on the podium.
Always great to see those cars jink through that 11, 12, 13 combination. Just lightning quick reflexes for these young drivers, just pointing that car through, quick flick of the steering wheel to get it through. Back on the throttle and down the straightaway after coming out of turn 14. Into turn number 1 now come the two Team Pelfrey cars. Fisher, nice turn in. Probably 4 car lengths as they work their way over to 2. Last time by, Fisher quicker by 0.3 of a second. So Fisher trying to reestablish his control of third spot, the final position on the podium here in Pro Mazda. Again, their second race, as Michael mentioned, the very last event of the weekend. Set to go tomorrow afternoon after the IndyCar race.
You talk all about the rhythm, and you want to keep that rhythm going. And just the time that they're going to have out of the car and having to wait through everything. And, of course, the Verizon IndyCar Series, the Firestone Grand Prix of St. Pete. You got all this pomp and circumstance, and you have all day to sit and wait for the final race. You're the final on-track race of the race weekend, and, boy, you know they're going to be chomping at the bit for that final race. I would say for every race fan, make sure you stick around for that final race as Pro Mazda race number 2, because if the time they have to wait will be any indication of their need to get out there and race, we're going to have a heck of a battle.
You think they'll have a little bit of anxiousness?
Yeah, a little bit, a little anxious, yes.
Yeah. So watching now, Franzoni continue to try to close, but looks like all for naught at this point. 7 minutes remaining, just coming to the 7-minute mark, and Franzoni now slower by a half a second every lap. 1.3 seconds now the gap between first and second, as Anthony Martin, who won 7 races last year in the USF 2000 Championship, set to start off this new season with a victory as well. It will be huge for Cape Motorsports. A single car effort this year. 3 drivers at Team Pelfrey, 3 drivers as well at World Speed Motorsports, 3 drivers now at Fat Boy Racing, 1 at Cape Motorsports. And there's a good possibility he's going to be on the top of the box when we get over to the victory lane here in about 10 minutes' time.
That's interesting. You look at Anthony Martin in the race that he has run thus far. Consistently, minute 14, 0.1, 0.3, a couple of the slower laps when he came up to that lap traffic. But I admired the young man's patience. He knew he was going to catch cars at various spots of the track. He knows Franzoni's still quick. But once he gets his rhythm back, he's able to gap himself. The last time by it was a 2nd and 3/10. Now it's a 2nd and 7/10. Just in a great rhythm in his own zone right now, driving a fantastic race to this point. Nice little battle I noticed last time by, Max Hanratty and Matt Machiko. We'll see how they fare this time by. That's the battle for 8th and 9th. So the battle for 8th as we watch Hanratty and for Machiko to make their way out of the turn.
I was watching the gap back to Bobby Eberle. Eberle significantly quicker than Machiko. Machiko last time by a 1:20.3. Expected more pace out of him. He did a 1:18.5. He's fallen well off his qualifying pace now, 1:20.3. Eberle a 1:17.3. Pretty solid run there for Eberle as he's trying to work his way back forward, but Bobby quite a ways, 12 seconds behind, but he was 3 seconds quicker last time by.
You know what, I wonder if Machiko, maybe if he caught up to Hanratty and they had a little battle and he had to check up, and the reason why that lap was so slow.
Potentially. Here come the leaders again onto the front straightaway. They're going to go by Bobby Eberle. Eberle stayed to the inside of the racetrack. Franzoni trying to roll by. In fact, Eberle getting off the throttle a little bit, I think, to make sure he's able to get through. So a great call there for Eberle. Yeah, but Chico back down to the 16s. He had 1 bad lap. 5 minutes to go. 5 minutes remaining here in Pro Mazda. Their first of 2 races here this weekend.
And Carlos Cunha caught one of the slower cars at one of the worst spots. Turn number 1, he really had to check up and lost touch with his teammate TJ Fisher. Still hoping to get on that podium. Able to gap it back up though. Nice recovery from Carlos Cunha. We're watching the battle for 3rd on the video boards right now. Those are the 2 Team Pelfrey cars.
Yeah.
Fisher in the 82, Cunha in the 81.
Good battle between the 2 drivers and Team Pelfrey. It's kind of who's going to try to take control of that team early on. TJ Fisher, of course, half a season behind the wheel of the Pro Mazda last year. Started the year off in USF 2000, so this really is TJ Fisher's first Pro Mazda race here as he ran here in USF 2000 last year. he's been able to set the pace for the majority of the race, but Kuna now coming on again. He was 0.4 of a second faster last time by. As they work out a 14, you'll see them rolling back down the front straightaway here. Those two yellow Team Pelfrey entry cars coming down the straightaway. Pretty decent little gap at this point as they come underneath their camera here at start-finish. This time by Fisher a 7, 14.7. So does Kuna, 14.7. 0.6 of a second between first and second.
You watch that battle with our leaders, Anthony Martin and Victor Franzoni. It was up to a 2nd and 7/10, back down to a 2nd and 4/10, and just watching Anthony Martin in the closing stages of this race. Just 3 minutes to go. We'll have a couple of laps remaining. He's doing a great job of just talking to him. He's so relaxed. It's such a great move. So confident in that Cape Motorsports car. It continues the season with Cape. The familiarity with that team. It just boosts all the confidence, and knows he has a great car. Knows the team very well. Looking forward to a great season from that young man.
I'll tell you what just happened. They actually were coming through.
Oh.
A driver spin. That's Finelli spinning in turn number 14. He continues right in front of the leaders.
Oh.
The leaders, as Finelli coming back around, the leaders rolling out of turn 14. Finelli is in the inside of the racetrack now, has not yet continued. He spun, but it was Jeff Green that had held them up coming through the turn 9 section again. That's allowed Franzoni to close back to within a half a second. So 2 minutes remaining, and Franzoni back within a half a second. He gets one more shot at it. Finelli able to get the car refired. He continues.
So close. Finelli was right near the racing line.
Yes.
So when Anthony Martin came out of turn 14, he had to do a quick maneuver to miss the spun car of Finelli, and that cost him a second. As you said, there was some slower traffic back there as well. So for Anthony Martin, he's like, whoa, guys, let's keep this together and try to win this race.
A couple of opportunities for Victor to come back. You're exactly right. 2 different opportunities, 2 different, let's say, roadblocks for Anthony.
Moving chicanes.
He had to roll through Jeff Green, and then it was a spin of Finelli that made it tough. We're now down to just less than 2 minutes remaining here in this one.
There they come to turn number 12, about 4 car length advantage now. Anthony Martin.
He's been able to build that gap again, another couple of car lengths. I simply think he's just a faster race car here at the end of this one.
And for Anthony Martin, Matt Machiko is the next car that he potentially will catch. But Machiko already through to turn number 4, and our leader now in turn number 2. So if they come across him with the white flag coming out this next time they may get it at the very, very end of the race.
Martin back down to a 14.3. Franzoni a 14.5. 0.7 of a second now the gap between first and second. So with the white flag set to be shown this time by the stripe, Anthony Martin looking to win here in his Pro Mazda debut. The Mazda sponsored driver, the Soul Red, number 8. The driver out of Australia. USF 2000 champion last year. Scholarship winner. Looking to give back to Mazda with a big victory here to start off the weekend in St. Petersburg.
All things in consideration, those Team Pelfrey cars have really settled in. Once they hit that 8-second gap behind, they haven't fallen any further back. So the latter part of this race, the Pelfrey cars have done very well. White flag is out. There's Matt Machiko going down into turn number 1. Indeed, Anthony Martin will catch him. The question is where?
You're right. This is going to be a last lap car. Machiko, the 2016 SCCA Runoffs Formula Mazda champion. First race in this Pro Mazda category. They said they just got the car on Thursday. Machiko getting closed up here. Let's hope this does not become an issue. They'll work their way now through turns number 4 and 5, Michael. Coming into the 6-7 complex. Victor's just saying, come on, keep going, give me the shot I need.
Anthony needs a great run out of turn number 9 here. They'll go through the kink. We'll see where Machiko settles in, but going down into turn number 10, the fastest portion of the course, the last chance Victor Franzoni will have to catch Anthony Martin. It will be because of a slower car. There's Machiko through 11 and 12. Anthony Martin having to check up. Victor Franzoni starting to close.
No doubt about it. He gets behind him all the way through the 11, 12, 13, 14 combination. Here they come out. Onto the outside comes Anthony Martin. Victor jumps all over it as well, but coming down the straightaway, ladies and gentlemen, the winner in race 1 in Pro Mazda, Anthony Martin. Martin able to win. Great run around the outside of Machiko in turn number 14. He knew he had to do it. If he got stacked up there and wasn't able to get back on the throttle, Victor would have pounced in a big way.
You know Anthony's going, come on, are you kidding me? Just give me some clean track.
Had he got by him before they got into the 11, 12, 13 that's just that tough place. It's single file through there. Had he stacked up behind Matt coming onto the front straightaway, you know it would have been a big outside-inside move from Franzoni. Nonetheless, the gap at the line, a half a second. Anthony Martin victorious here. Victor Franzoni taking second. TJ Fisher in third. Carlo Cunha in fourth spot. Nikita Listoshkin in fifth.
Anthony Martin, we talked to you before the race began, and we're going to get to talk to you now. John Doonan from Mazda with the high five. Congratulations. The High Tide Kids on Track Pro Mazda Grand Prix of St. Pete. You started on pole. You drove it to a win. It looked easy, but I know that it wasn't. Victor Franzoni, a very experienced Brazilian driver right behind you. How tough was it knowing that he was always on your rear wing?
Yeah, it was very tough. He's a very fast driver, and I think tyre management was a big key in that race, and it's going to be a bigger thing tomorrow in the 40-minute race.
Yeah, that's right. You guys ran for 30 minutes today. You're going to run for an additional 10 minutes tomorrow on Sunday following the Indy car race. High Tide Kids on Track stepping up to bring this race to us. With that extra tire degradation, are you worried? And also, what happens to the front end of these cars when you get stuck behind lap traffic? Do you lose a lot of that front end grip? How difficult is it to stay out in front of this field?
Yeah, it is difficult because you got to manage the rear tyres. Likewise for Victor, he's probably going to look after his front tyres when he was behind me. So that race was all about managing the tyre wear, and I think the car was really good. The Cape Motorsport boys gave me a great car, and the Mazda and Cooper tyres work well together to stick to the track. So it was a really good race, and I can't thank the Cape Motorsports crew enough.
Those Cooper tires did keep you glued to the track, especially down there in that slick turn 1. Were you worried about a little bit of funny business from behind when you got the green flag going into turn 1?
Yeah, I mean, I'm always worried. It's St. Pete. It's the first race. You never know what happens into turn 1. A lot of people, you like to go for the win in the first corner, but I think all the Mazda boys did really well to get through, and congratulations to all of them.
Mazda and Cooper tires stepping up. Anthony Martin, he's your race 1 winner. He's your reigning USF 2000 champion, and he's off to a good start here in Pro Mazda. We're going to get to victory lane and do some celebrating. Good job, Anthony.